Hey! Oh crap, I'm wearing the wrong shirt. Never fear! Oh yeah, I don't actually have a Marvel shirt. Oh well, it doesn't matter. You know, Disney, Marvel's Disney, everything's Disney. Let's just go! Hello YouTube, Ash here and welcome to another episode of Special Talks. Today I'm doing a ranking video and I will be ranking my top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Yes, the MCU. Now I know there's loads of these videos out there, so to be different I invited 10 YouTuber friends to comment on my pick. So yeah, do me a favor, check out their channels and maybe if you like their stuff, subscribe, because I've promised them at least one subscriber for being in this video, or else I'm gonna have to owe them €20. And honestly, I can't afford that, so yeah, check them out please. Joking aside, because I was joking, or was I? You never know. Anyway, let's get into this top 10 with number 10. So coming in at number 10 is AntMan. Now, AntMan is a fantastic movie. It's also probably the most standalone movie in the MCU, as it's really a contained story. You know, it has a lot of heart, and deep down it's really just a personal story about a father who wants to do right by his daughter. It also has lots of humor and is goofy as hell. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic film, but here is CINEMAZE to tell you what he thinks about this film.
Hi, I'm CINEMAZE and I'm going to be talking about Ant-Man. Although not the best film in the MCU, I think Ant-Man is one of the most overlooked and underrated movies in the series. Ant-Man does a lot right, and again it shows us Marvel's ability to make the goofier comic book characters work on the big screen. I think one of the great things about Ant-Man is the tone. This movie doesn't really take itself too seriously. It realises it's a movie with a main character called Ant-Man, and by understanding the comedic side of the character, it allows for a very fun and light-hearted movie. Another strength is that it doesn't go for world-ending stakes, but sticks to a much smaller plot. It makes the movie feel personal to the characters and gives us an interesting take on the heist movie format. Ant-Man is filled with new ideas and creativity, involving unique set pieces and inventive uses of the growing and shrinking technology. Although there's some criticism towards the generic origin story and villain plot, in a way I think it's intentional to contrast the uniqueness and bizarreness of Ant-Man with a story we are familiar with. It introduces great new characters to the MCU, and Ant-Man is always fun to see pop up on screen. Ant-Man has gone from a joke of a character to being sorely missed in Infinity War and to one of the most exciting moments of the Endgame trailer, and I think that really shows the strength of the first Ant-Man movie and its character work. Overall, Ant-Man is extremely entertaining, extremely funny, and extremely unique.
Now coming in at number 9 is a film which is going to surprise a lot of people. It is Thor: The Dark World. Now hear me out before you turn off the video. Now let me quickly explain why I like this film. For starters, it's one of the darkest films in the MCU, and I think that actually works for the character. Also, it has some really memorable and emotional scenes. The funeral scene had me in tears. However, the main reason this is in my top 10 is the score. This is probably one of the best scores in the MCU. I really love the music in this, and it really helps fill the emotion and, you know, it added to my enjoyment. So that's definitely why this is in the top 10 and why I have fond memories for it. Now, honestly, I couldn't find any human being who wanted to talk about this film. But I do have someone, because yes, I have the world's biggest and most popular monkey movie reviewer to talk about this film. Yes, put your hands up for Bongo! Yeah, over to Bongo.
Hello there, and a big thank you to Ashley Pistachio for having me on his channel, and he wants me to tell you about my thoughts on this movie. It's a Marvel movie. It's called Thor in the Dark World. So this Thor in the Dark World, it's starring Chris Hemingway as Thor, and you got Natalie Porthole as the girl. And anyway, this movie is about Thor, who is this guy with the lightning, and he has a hammer. Which is right back there on the shelf, you can see it. So this movie, look, it's, in my opinion, the best of all the Marvel movies that they've made, because it's full of everything that you want to see in one of these kind of movies. This movie is about Thor, and you've got the bad guy, and Thor has to stop the bad guy from doing his evil plan, which is going to make things bad. And in the meantime, there's oh, look, I haven't actually seen it, but from what I've heard, it's really good. So, check it out, okay? Yeah.
So, thank you for that, Bongo, I guess. Moving on. Coming in at number 8 is SpiderMan Homecoming. This was Spider-Man's first solo movie in the MCU, and it didn't disappoint as it had some really fantastic action, some really great humor, and some top-notch acting by Michael Keaton and Tom Holland. The two really worked well as their characters, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel because Spider-Man's a great character, and it was good that he finally had a good movie. Not taking away anything from the Remy movies, but this was, a proper Marvel Spider-Man movie. And here's Josh Drake from futurefilmmaker 39480 to tell you more about SpiderMan Homecoming.
The reason why I enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming a lot is because this is a return to form for the characters Spider-Man after the Amazing Spider-Man films, and there's a lot of humor brought here. I think the action is really well done. This is a very different Spider-Man movie than what you're used to seeing. You get Peter Parker as a teenager, him going through struggles. You still get the awesome Spider-Man action. You have a great villain in the Vulture. I like the change of pace that we got from the Sam Raimi films, and the fact that we got this movie so long after Spider-Man 3 is amazing to me, and having Iron Man in there was also really great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with in Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Homecoming was definitely one of my favorites of 2017.
Coming in at number 7 is Captain America, the First Avenger. Now this is probably one of the best origin stories in the MCU. I really enjoy it. Also the setting of World War II really helps to give the film lots of atmosphere, and it really shows you why Steve Rogers is the hero that everyone loves. Such a pure of heart kind of guy, a stand-up guy, a hero, the captain. The film also has some great humor, some really good action, and it was really where Marvel started to show that they can build a big franchise. And here to talk more about Captain America First Avenger is Daniel from HalfKocked.
Captain America the First Avenger is the first time Marvel truly nailed the MCU formula, where even Iron Man feels slightly beholden to the house that Christopher Nolan built. First Avenger embraces the pulp of 40s superheroes with smarts and sincerity. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers is the best superhero since Christopher Reeve's Superman, a shining beacon of the kind of courageous moral person we all strive to be. Romantic with the capital R, the First Avenger reminds us that when it comes to superheroes, we can have our spectacle and honesty too. And that's a game plan that the rest of the MCU sticks to even today.
Coming in at number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now this is a fantastic cosmic adventure, hence why it's in the top 10. It's a film filled with lots of action and humor, and it's a joy to watch another adventure with these band of misfits. And the only thing I think that this film has against it is that James Gunn played it kinda safe, with him using sort of the same style of music, the same sort of style of action and humor. However, it's still a great cosmic adventure and has probably one of the most emotional last 15 minutes of any MCU film. So definitely worth checking out. And now here's the Spiked Hit podcast to tell you more about it.
To those of you that say Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a poor follow-up, I will say this. Marvel is directed towards kids predominantly. As much as we like to think it's not, it is. And Guardians of the Galaxy 2 showed everyone that it's okay to have problems, because every Guardian had some sort of issue, from Star-Lord's daddy issues to Gamora's sister issues to Rocket's abandonment issues, so he has to act out and is called out by Yondu, who, speaking of which, has one of the best redemption arcs in the history of cinema in my personal opinion. He has the most heartbreaking funeral scene. He's a character that stays dead in the MCU, and he legitimizes the word daddy again, which is become a meme at this point. So the fact that that moment, he may have been your father, but he weren't your daddy, that is relatable as well, because Guardians 2, I think, is a more personal story, all about character. It's only considered bad just because it didn't have the surprise of the first Guardians film.
Coming in at number 5 is Captain America Civil War. Yes, this film is technically the Avengers 2.5, as the Captain shares a screen time with lots and lots of different characters. In fact, they have more screen time put together than the Captain has himself. However, the film is really good and has some great action set pieces, including that massive airport fight. And the story is really interesting as it has a number of twists and turns that leaves you trying to figure out how it's going to end. And although it's not really a proper adaptation of the Civil War comic book, it's still a fantastic film. And here is Ren Geekness to tell you how much he likes this film.
Civil War is a film for me. It's in my top 3 MCU movies, and it's a film that matches its blockbuster scale and spectacle with the smarts of a very adult thriller. It's a film that doesn't offer easy answers for the characters in this story, and every beat of the film just adds more consequences to what happened before and adds more stakes to the characters involved. There's always little pieces moving throughout the film, and a new player always gets added when an important thing happens, making us understand how important it truly is. It is a remarkable accomplishment in many ways, not only because of what had come before it, but it truly examines who these heroes are as people behind the masks, or metaphorical masks, shows us what impact they have had on the world, and vice versa. This is a film that understands the humans behind the mask and not just the heroes. Those are only some of the many reasons why Civil War is great, and thank you, Ashley, for having me on talking about Civil War. And I'll see you guys on another future video.
Coming in at number 4 is Iron Man. Yes, the film that started it all. The first film in the MCU, and still one of the best. This was a film that revitalized comic book movies as we know it. It had lots of humor, some really great set pieces, and not to mention that epic after credits scene, which set up the whole Marvel universe. I don't think anyone was expecting to see Nick Fury step in and say, "I need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative." Wow, everyone went crazy. The film itself was really fun, and it set the standard for Marvel films to come. Now here's Rewind Replay to tell you why he likes this film.
The movie might be 11 years old, but Marvel's Iron Man is still one of the best within the entirety of the MCU, and I think that falls back squarely in the idea that this is one of the best origin stories in comic book movie history. Casting the likes of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark was such a great choice, and I'm so glad Jon Favreau fought long and hard for it. The redemption story here is excellent to watch on screen, highly engaging, and one you can't help but get behind. The action sequences are big, bold, and for the most part highly practical, which is why I feel that the action in this film has held up so well, thanks to all its practical effects. Given that the MCU is filled with the so-called villainitis, Ironmonger, played by Jeff Bridges, is in fact a truly great villain. I do wish he'd hung around a bit longer because I think he would have been a great probing tool for Tony, but what he achieves here in essentially one act is pretty amazing. And you can't go ahead and talk about Iron Man without touching on that end credit scene featuring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, setting up the grander scheme that Marvel had in place, the MCU, starting off by setting up the Avengers. Iron Man is one of those comic book movies that is a must-watch and still one of the best comic book films ever made.
Coming in at number 3 is Avengers Infinity War. Yes, the biggest movie in the MCU, the most epic movie in the MCU. The film that shocked people with that epic ending, shocking ending. The ending that no one's ever seen anything like it. Near enough every single Marvel character was in this film, except the Netflix ones, but we don't talk about them, or Hawkeye, and we won't talk about him either. But everyone else was in this movie. It was a fantastic action-packed adventure filled with emotion, and it also had, without doubt, the best villain in the MCU. I'm talking about, of course, Big Daddy Thanos, who really was and is the big bad, and he will be until Endgame. Then we'll see if he dies or not. But yeah, this film was just epic, and here's another epic guy to talk about it, Mr. Adam Daly.
Hey guys, my name is Adam of Adam Daily Live, and I absolutely love the Avengers Infinity War. And why do you think I love this film? Well, for 10 long years, we have gotten to know some of the best characters in the MCU. Characters like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, AntMan. Well, AntMan wasn't in Infinity War, but he's still a good character. But needless to say, some of these amazing characters all appear in one movie. And what's the best part about this movie is the direction from the Russo brothers, because they bring all of our characters front and center, and each one of them has moments of shine. But let's not forget, Thanos kicks a lot of butt in this movie, has an epic conclusion, some amazing fight sequences, and just like a big collaboration like this, it takes some magic to make it all work, and Disney, Marvel, and the Russos pulled it off, and that is why it's one of my favorite MCU movies. Definitely a movie of epic proportion.
So we're down to the last two movies in the MCU, and at number 2 we have Guardians of the Galaxy. This is without doubt the funniest film in the MCU. It's the most fun film in the MCU, and it's just a laugh. It's amazing what James Gunn did with these characters that no one near enough knew about, but he put them in a film, and he gave the film such style and such humor and such excitement that it became a runaway success. The film has some amazing humor, as I mentioned, and it's really a great adventure, a great cosmic adventure, something that we hadn't seen before. It had everything great, the music, the music that was played over and over again. The characters like Star-Lord, who became heroes to kids who had no idea who he was. And it was really such a great story about redemption from a band of misfits joining together to save the world. This is a fantastic story, and here's a fantastic person to talk about it, Mr. Zach Pope!
What's going on, everyone? I am here. My name is Zach, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is still my favorite MCU film to date for so many reasons. I remember when this film was announced, I was the only one excited. I was like a talking raccoon, a talking tree. I knew who these characters were from the comics. It was exactly what I wanted, and I was just so excited to see where the MCU would be taken into space. They had James Gunn directing and writing it. This guy had made some bonkers films before, and now I knew he was going to be taking care of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt's going to be on board, Star-Lord, Zoe Saldana, Drax the Destroyer as Dave Bautista. It was a fantastic cast, a great dynamic, and I think the reason I relate so much to this film is because the dynamic between the family and how they work overall. This is the film that I've definitely rewatched the most. It has great humor, great soundtrack, and everything overall makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 a masterpiece.
So at number 1, and my favorite film in the MCU is The Avengers. Yes, this was the first big join up of all the Marvel heroes. We had never seen anything like this, where we took characters from other films and put them into one big film. And okay, we've seen it later on with Ultron and Infinity War, but this was the first time, and it was so cool. Not to mention the film itself was handled really well by Joss Whedon. He had some great interactions, some great humor, some great set pieces. Also, when we're talking about great action set pieces, who cannot mention the one where they're in a circle and getting ready for battle? What a fantastic shot. It had a great villain with Loki. Even if he wasn't as good as Thanos, he was still a great villain for this story. It really paid off, and as I mentioned, it was the first time we saw something like this, so it was so much fun. And here to talk about it is the funniest movie reviewer on YouTube, Mr. Gerald Buckendahl.
What's up, Ash? Thank you for inviting me over. Anyways, Avengers, let's get into it. Avengers, obviously it's like one of the top 3, one of my favorite MCU movies, Marvel movies. And think about it, it's because you get all of these different characters from all of these separate movies coming together. We get Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye. Okay, maybe not Hawkeye, but you know, we get all these people. They're butting heads. They're working together. Eventually, you know, coming together in this big, huge Battle of New York City. We get that cool hero shot where it's just going around all of these characters with the Avengers. Can't even forget about the Avengers theme song playing, like, okay, maybe that's not the exact tone of it or whatever, but you get the picture. And then obviously at the end, it kind of sets things up for a much bigger MCU. And then, post-credit scene, spoiler, we get the introduction of Thanos, which brings us to Infinity War, Endgame. Boom. Obviously, Avengers, one of the best MCU movies.
Thanks Jared, and thank you everyone who helped me out in this video. Please check out their channels, their links will be down below. All of them do fantastic movie reviews, top 10s and all that. So please check out their channels, let's support them and as they supported me in this video. Also let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my top 10 and what films you would have changed instead of Thor: The Dark World, because I know that's coming up. But that's it for today. I want to thank you all for watching. If you did like this video, hit that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel or like what you've seen, I do movie reviews, top 10s, trailer reactions, TV reviews and all that. So consider hitting that subscribe button and I will see you next time. Bye bye. Thanks again everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye bye.